So, if you've just joined us, the news this morning is that the Duchess of Cambridge finally has been admitted to St Mary's Hospital here in London, and that she is in the early stages of labour, according to a statement issued 1 hour ago by Kensington Palace. We understand that she's gone into labour naturally and that things are progressing as normal. What, of course, we don't know is how long this whole process is going to take. I suspect that they won't even know that within the hospital. But just to recap on what we can expect to see in the coming days or coming hours, we will see at some point an official leaving the Lindo wing with the official announcement that a birth has taken place. Whether that will be today or conceivably even tomorrow, we don't know. But let's imagine that perhaps it will be today, and that statement then will be taken to Buckingham Palace, where it will be placed on an easel in the palace forecourt, and it will only be at that point that we will learn that a baby has been born, and whether it is a boy or a girl. But whichever it is, as I was saying in that report, that child will be third in line to the British throne. Now, I think I can pass you over to my colleague Simon McCoy, who is also on a camera here outside the Lindo wing at St Mary's Hospital.
Nick, thank you very much. This is not a lonely place this morning. Let me just show you what the scene is. For the last few days, there have been the ladders, there have been the odd reporter, the odd photographer just waiting around in case. In the last hour, this has turned into a media city, and several reporters live to their colleagues in the United States, even at 20 to 4 in the morning in the United States. Huge excitement, as of course there is here, because the waiting is now over. Just after 6 o'clock this morning, some photographers tweeted that they'd seen a convoy of sorts arriving at a side door here at the Lindo wing at St Mary's Hospital in Paddington, and thereafter chaos ensued, and then an announcement from Kensington Palace saying that the Duchess of Cambridge had gone into the early stages of a natural labour and had been brought here with her husband, the Duke of Cambridge, and the two of them are in this hospital behind me now. And as Nick was saying earlier, frankly, we've got nothing to tell you, because the first thing we will know is at Buckingham Palace, that note on the easel to say, at whatever time the Duchess of Cambridge was delivered of, boy, girl, that's the big one, we don't know, and everything went smoothly. That's what we're assuming will happen. What we don't know is what time that will be. So for the next hours, endless speculation, endless chat, and not much information, I'm afraid, but let's stay with it, because it's one of those stories, and anybody who's covered royal families for a while will know, the excitement has built up to such a point that everybody's got caught up in it, frankly. Even the taxi driver brought me here this morning was saying, oh, you have to see what's happening, it's all very exciting. He was on the phone to his wife saying, oh, she's gone in. It's one of those stories, and we're all hoping for a fabulous outcome. Could be in the next few hours, could be tomorrow morning. And then, of course, the picture that everybody wants, the picture that will be in the following day's front pages, is that doorstep with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and their new baby, who just happens to be the third in line to the throne. We may well have a name by then as well. That, of course, is the other big subject of speculation. But crucially, we don't even know yet if it's a boy or a girl. Duchess of Cambridge may just be sitting watching television, in which case, good morning, Your Royal Highness, we're wishing you well, but we want some news. So that's the position here for not just me, but every national broadcaster from this country, from the United States, from around the world. The Australians have just arrived, so huge excitement and nothing to say. Rachel.
Simon, nicely put. And what we don't know, of course, one of the other great unknowns is quite what the plans will be after the birth in terms of paternity leave and so on. Do we have any information about that?
Well, you want me to speculate? I'll speculate. The Duke of Cambridge will have some paternity leave. He'll spend some time with his wife and the baby. I think the big question is going to be where they move to from here with the baby. Now, we're jumping the gun here. You know, the baby's not been born yet. And let's just be slightly... Let's note what we're talking about. We're talking about childbirth. It's inherently not risky, but there are risks, and this is a medical procedure, and you know, we just are keeping our fingers crossed that everything goes well on the basis that it does. The question will be for the Duchess, and no doubt she's already made the decision, where she goes from here. Does she return home with her husband to Kensington Palace? Does she go to St James's Palace? Does she go to her parents' home in Berkshire, which is a possibility? Now, that actually has some issues attached to it, because this baby, as it's born, will come into a world where security is going to be an issue for the rest of its life. And indeed, from the first few days of its birth, the security is something that will be looked at. It will come under the protection of the team that looks after the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. But if it goes to Kate's parents' home, then there are some issues with that, because every photographer that is here today, I will guarantee you, as soon as they've left here, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and the baby, they're all going to be heading to wherever that baby is living. So there are issues there if they go to the home in Berkshire. We won't know. This is one of those stories where, quite rightly, the father and mother will make the key decisions, and at some stage we will be informed. That's how this has been throughout. Someone tweeted the other day that this was Kate's payback to all the media who described her as Weighty Katie for all those years when she was going out with Prince William and there was no sign of any marriage. Well, she's paid them back in full measure, because the cost of the operation for the media here is considerable, and I can tell you some of them have been here for a couple of weeks at least. Started by the American networks who, unlike any network in this country, they know how to do this. They've got tents, they've got camps, they've got hundreds of people over here. They've put clocks on some of the pillars with all the times in their various regions, and there's one here that just says the Great Kate Wait. Well, let me show you. My cameraman will show you. They've actually got all their clocks with their local time for the NBC network in New York, where it's 20 to 4 in the morning. So, everybody has waited for this moment and is going to enjoy it. But the thing is, we just don't know how long it's going to be. If it's a natural childbirth that lasts a few hours, well, that means that there'll be a baby by this afternoon, and you could have William and Kate walking out of that door tomorrow morning. We don't know. I can speculate if you want. My father was an obstetrician, I'm not, so I can't even give you any information on that.
I certainly won't venture into that territory with you, Simon, but you were talking about the security and the kind of life the baby will have. Of course, that's a given that there will be some challenges around the privacy and so on, but we know that Kate and William are a modern young couple. They've wanted to move the monarchy forwards with them, and what we can assume, I expect, is that they will want the baby to have as normal an upbringing as they can manage.
What, for a third in line of the throne? Yes, I suppose your normal and their normal might be slightly different. But yes, I mean, they are a modern couple, as you say. I mean, dare we say it, they're fairly normal, aren't they? The excitement of that generation of the royal family is generated by certainly his brother Harry, and that's perhaps his role. William and Kate have settled down. They've got their home in Anglesey. He has a job. All these things will change in the coming months, perhaps, as they decide where things go from here. It's probably worth mentioning, of course, that the Queen, as we know from last week, is heading off on holiday this week. So the timing of this is rather good. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but 6 o'clock on a Monday morning is rather a good time to just suddenly go into labour. So it's all working out rather well in terms of the timing of this. So the Queen heading up to Scotland later in the week may well be able to say hello, or certainly hear a message related. It won't be a very long message from the baby, because they're not, are they? But as far as her parents are concerned, the message will be there is a fourth generation, there is a third in line to the throne, and that's actually what is absolutely crucial here. We're looking at the future of the monarchy. This is a very, very significant moment, and it'll be particularly significant, of course, if it's a girl, because under the rules of primogeniture, which were changed early last year, a girl... Everybody's getting very excited. That's, I think, a Japanese reporter talking to his camera. Anyway, under those rules, if it's a girl, she will become third in line to the throne. So this is hugely significant, but we won't know if it's a boy or a girl until I said that earlier, until that notice is posted outside Buckingham Palace. So really that's where the next bit of the story is. It's not going to be here. It'll be at Buckingham Palace. We'll know what boy, girl, we might get a name, and then it's that moment they come out, and some of us can remember Charles and Diana doing that with William on exactly the same steps. This hospital, well known, well versed in the associated issues of royal birth. So so far so good. We're all going to be doing this for a long time, just looking at our watches and seeing if there's any news.
Yeah, I hope you've got a strong pair of shoes and a supply of coffee, Simon. But you were talking about Prince William there. Of course, he waited a week, I think, to be given his name. A lot of sweepstakes have been going on the name.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Kate will certainly have an input on this, I would have thought. And if they don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and all the speculation is that they didn't want to know, although I don't know that with a third in line at the throne that's necessarily going to be the case, but they will have been discussing names. Look, this is being replicated not just at this hospital in London, but at every hospital, maternity hospital around the country today. There are young couples going in to have a baby today, and of course they've been talking about what names they'd like. There's a slightly different concern here, of course, because there are certain names that will be thrown in by the courtiers and perhaps senior members of the royal family say, wouldn't it be nice if it was a Victoria or a James or a Charles? But it's down to the couple. They'll make their decision, and we will be the last to know. And that's how it should be, Rachel.
Simon, I know we'll be back to you regularly, but for now, thanks very much indeed. And just to say, actually, Simon making the point there'll be a lot of other couples up and down the country having the same experience today, in a slightly different way. And babies, I was reading, who are born on the same day as the first child of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are to receive a free lucky silver penny. That's been announced by the Royal Mint. They'll be giving away 2,013 of those pennies, which will be presented in a pink or a blue pouch, depending, of course, on the gender of the baby.